Welcome back into the high school huddle. I'm AJ Feldman. He is Carl Jones. We are back after a little bit of a short hiatus. We had some fall sports wrapping up. We had the holiday. We have things finally picking up in the winter sports season. So it's good to be back talking to you all about high school sports here in Section 5 as the winter season is finally here. Fall season, a great one as well. We had some great football and volleyball and soccer results that we won't quite get into, but a great fall season for all the fall athletes. Congrats everybody. But we are here, winter sports. This is the first sports season in the wintertime for Carl Jones. Carl, your initial impressions of the basketball, hockey, the slate so far?
It's been fun, man. Obviously, shout out to the fall being over. You know, the cold. Man, that was my bones at the end of the season. But it's been fun. I'm not a big hockey guy, or I don't have a big background in it. So I'm being able to see it up close and personal, and seeing how the game works and just the little nuances of the game has been cool to see. Because I've never really been at a hockey game before, so I've learned that they're pretty cold. So I got to bundle up when I go to those. And then also basketball games are always fun, regardless of the atmosphere. It's just always good to see the kids compete in that regard. So it's been fun so far, and I can't wait to see how things go when we start picking things up.
Yeah, a little underdressed for your first hockey game, if I recall, correct?
Yeah, I thought just a button down would be good enough, but I didn't realize it was 30 degrees in there.
Yeah, it's winter hat and gloves and winter jackets, and yeah, Carl has not made that mistake recently. My first initial impressions in our takes and stories little segment we got going on here, just kind of the difference in obviously last season, our high risk winter sports, basketball, hockey, wrestling, those started February 1st. It took a long time for them to get going. There was the big spike last year, so they pushed those off. It was obviously a much different winter sports season. Who knows what this year is going to bring? Everything's always changing, but just getting things back to this, November start for practice, December games. I think the biggest thing that really sticks out to me so far is just the space in these schedules compared to what we had last year. We had, sectional still ended in March. They started in February. These teams were playing like every other day, basically. I was remembering when I was typing up our web articles for our website at rochesterfirst.com. I think it was I was writing the Victor game, or the Eastridge or something like that. And it was like I was looking up for their next game, and it was like in 6 days, and I'm like, oh my god, I forgot. Like, these teams aren't going to be playing like every other day because last year it was just crazy. And I think that'll really beef up the level of competition, especially as we go. There wasn't a ton of practice time last year. It was really all about who you had in season, on the fly adjustments, how much work you put in the off season. But we didn't really get a lot of time for teams to go from, all right to good at the end of the season. We're going to be able to, you're going to get to spend some time with these teams. You're going to get to really see them grow. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that because I was still in college at that point, so I wasn't too immersed with the high school scene. But that is an interesting point because, as you know, high school kids, they always get better as the season goes on, and only giving them, I guess, a month of tune-up time is kind of tough.
Yeah, it was a wild ride last season. Some of these these teams finished with like 9-2 records in the regular season. They only played 11 games. So, we got full slate of schedules back. I'm sure the kids out there didn't really mind playing every other day, as opposed to practice. Games are the fun part, as they always say. So we'll see how they adjust to that and, proceed with our normal high school sports season. So we got a little bit away from our show format before, just because we had so many playoff games. We changed things up a little bit. We're back to our teams of the week. So Carl, you've been on the front lines very often these past few weeks. What has really stood out to you? What's your team of the week so far early in the high school winter sports season?
So for me, it was a team that I only saw once, but coming into this hoop season, I was always told if there's a couple teams to be on the lookout for, but the one team that I made sure that I did not forget was East, and I saw them and I was thoroughly impressed. I saw them when they took down Franklin 2 nights ago, and boy, it was a sight to see those kids go out there and compete. Starting with Damani Barley, that kid right there. What does Stephen A said? He's box office. I mean, he is fun to watch. He's good at all 3 levels. I mean, watch your head too, because he's dunking on kids. I wasn't there to see that one, but I saw that one go viral on Twitter. So that is a fun kid to watch. And then the McCullough brothers and Kai and Colin, they're out there doing their thing as well. Barley dropped 26 in that game. Kai dropped 20. Franklin isn't like a slouch by any means.
No, they're going to be a good team this year.
Because from what I've heard in the past, they haven't been, I guess, up to their normal standards. But this year, I saw them play Penfield, and then I saw them play East, and I was like, this is a team that's going to be able to compete. And I know they're young, but man, they're going to look good. And the way that East, I guess, just dismantled them as if they weren't that caliber of team was very impressive. So I can't wait to see them progress as the year goes on, because man, they were fun to watch. They go out to OCC this Saturday to take on Liverpool. So see how they do, out of town game. But man, that was a sight to see, and I can't wait to see where they go from here.
Yeah, they lost a decent amount of talent from last year, believe it or not. None bigger than Justice Ross Simmons, who currently is out playing in California. He went out there to get some extra attention for football specifically. He actually committed to Nevada, and just recently decommitted. I believe their coach left there, so he's hot on the market there. I actually just saw that last night. So best of luck to old Justice Ross Simmons. But he was going to be, if Damani Barley is the best player in Section 5 this year, potentially, Justice Ross Simmons would have been right up there with him, maybe 1 or 2. So that was a big loss. But I think the real thing, like you said, East must see TV. Damani Barley, just a junior. I've seen that. I've seen that. I think I saw that written in either a Pick and Splinters or a DNC article, and I'm like, that's not right. Look at them. They got that wrong there. I did the research, and I was like, oh man, he's only a junior. So he's going to be fun to watch. He's going to, D1 looks from the Bonnies of the world. UB, Sienna has offered him before. We'll see. His stock is only going to go up this season. So we'll see what kind of looks he gets. And like you said, the McCulloughs, they've had some responsibilities before on that team in the past, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do in their expanded roles this season.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. And all of you who have told me to be on the lookout for East, they got my attention, and y'all were 100% right on that one.
My team of the week, I haven't been out to a ton of games so far, just with the schedule, but one team that really impressed me so far this season was Victor boys basketball. Last season, they made the sectional championship game. The year before that, they made the sectional semifinals. Last year, they lost to a really strong Gates Chili team that lost a lot of talent to graduation. They were a senior-heavy team last year. So AA, we'll see how this shakes out, but I think Victor has done a good job of reloading their team here. Last year, they had a few key players to graduation, none bigger, no pun intended, than Connor Williams, the 7-foot center who shot like 40% from 3. He had some skill. He's not your typical center. He was a great player last year. He's playing at St. John Fisher right now. But the real guy that sticks out to them is Phil Ungwo, whose name we will try and get as correct as possible. We will eventually iron out his pronunciation of his last name. But he was just really strong. I saw them Saturday against Fayetteville, Manlius out of the Syracuse area. They beat them 65-51. He put up 25 points in that game. Had a nice dunk, had some great plays inside, really strong, initiated contact, isn't afraid to get to the line. They kind of played more of a 4 outside, 1 in, a little bit of 3-2 high-low game with Ungwo inside there. They've got some guys who can shoot. They do a really good job of passing the ball, finding the best shot, working the ball around the horn. It's a well-coached team. It always has been over there with Coach Roberts there. And they looked good to start off, especially like I said, at a Class AA, which we need to figure out who's good. They looked well. They looked strong in that first game. On Tuesday, they beat a Newark team 72-47. Garrett Clark dropped 23 in that game. So maybe he is their second option in that one. But Victor's going to be an interesting team to watch. I know you've seen some of the other teams that have really looked good in Class AA this year. Your Edisons, your McQuades, I've been impressed with what I just saw just off the highlights there. So that double A, it's going to be a fun bracket to watch because, we have a little bit of a power bubble at the top where, that Gates-Chili team graduated so many guys. They're the defending sectional champs. It'll be interesting to see how that double A bracket shapes out as the year goes on here.
Oh, 100%. Because early on Monday when McQuaid lost to Schrader in the manner that they did, I think many of us were like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" And then they rebound last night with an impressive win at home, taking down Edison Tech team. And obviously, Edison Tech has looked good thus far this year.
Yeah, they beat Aquinas, who I think was one of the teams definitely to watch so far. They did a good job of taking care of business there.
Exactly. So I mean, this double A bracket, I can't wait to see how this shakes out because man, there's some talented teams out there. So we'll see who can rise to the top from that division.
Moving on to our teams that maybe a little under the radar, not to your easts of the world, teams that deserve some pub. Carl, who do you have your eyes on early so far this season?
So I have my eyes on one team, in particular one player, and he, I guess, has my attention on the team as well, and that's Aiden Cook of Penfield. Well, Penfield, and that's because of Aiden Cook. I saw them take on that Franklin team that I alluded to earlier, and that team right there, they're going to go as far as he can take them, and that is a kid right there who can take a team. He's talented as can be. He's lefty, he's smooth, he can get to the cup. I saw him hit a couple step back threes. I mean, that team right there was fun to watch considering it was the first game of the year, and it looked like they were clicking on all cylinders in that first game. Now, however, they got trounced last night by Sutherland on the road. So I don't know. I haven't seen Sutherland, so Sutherland could be a great team in their own right. But so far, under the radar, I can't wait to see how it shakes up a little bit and see how far Aiden Cook can take that team because, man, he is silky smooth, lefty, so I'm jealous, always jealous of the lefty ball players out there. Everything looks better lefty. I don't know. So it's like that might be what it is, but he's a silky smooth player, and I can't wait to see how he carries that team going forward.
Yeah, Penfield 8-6 record last year, so a contender last year, but certainly not one of your top dogs last year. So I'm looking forward to seeing Penfield, Aiden Cook next time I get out there to old Patriot land. My under the radar team is a team that is scoring goals at a preposterous rate in hockey so far that year and this year, and that's Churchville-Chili. The Saints, one of the top teams in Class B. They made it to the sectional B championship game last year. They lost to Penfield. Penfield right now in the A bracket this year, so that's another division class that is up for grabs. Now, last year they did a lot with their goaltending. Ethan Breton, just a stud in that. He had one of the greatest saves I've ever seen in my life. And I think Carl's seen that save because I showed him. It was pretty damn good, wasn't it?
Yeah, for someone who isn't too well versed in hockey, I know that was good right there. It didn't take too much knowledge to know that was a hell of a goal.
Yeah, that was the 1-0 save in the sectional semifinals with less than a minute to play. We will get that. If you're listening on Spotify, go to the video portion of the show on RochesterFirst.com. We'll be playing this 6 times over as we're talking about it right here. But like I said, last year they were winning with goaltending. They were winning with Ethan Breton. They were winning 1-0 in sectional semi games. This year they ain't. So far they've had a 9-0 win over Rondecoit, who seems to be having a tough start to their season, but an 8-7 win over Greece. Who is pretty good. They're 2-1 outside of that Churchville-Chili loss. They beat Hamburg, a good team out of Section 6, the Buffalo area. They beat them 7-5. They dropped a game to Ken West, 4-2, is another good team out of the Buffalo area. And then they did show that they can actually, win a lower scoring game against Canandaigua, 3-2 they won. So they're off to a 4-1 start this season. Taking a look at some of the very impressive gaudy numbers so far this season. And this isn't just 5 games, folks. Max McKay, 8 goals, 10 assists. Tyler Eberhardt, 8 goals, 8 assists. Shane Girolamo, 3 goals, 7 assists. And the other Eberhardt brother, Trey, 3 goals, 7 assists. So those are all players who have multiple years of varsity experience. It seems like, I'm not too versed in the hockey goal depth, But you can either start with goaltending and try and build out your offense, or you can have a great offense. You can try and work on your goaltending. They got the offense. We'll see if their goaltending can keep up with them as the season goes along. But the numbers speak for themselves on the Churchville-Chili hockey team so far this year.
I need to catch that team because the games I've been to so far, I mean, they've been great games. I mean, really good teams and competitive games. But for someone who's, I'm still learning and stuff like that, seeing all those goals and all the, all that up and down, I would love to, catch one of those games. So Churchville-Chili, you have my attention. All right. Under the radar, I'm about to pull that back. All right. I'm locked into y'all.
Especially if you only get 2 goals in the game. It's a lot more pressure to get that highlight correctly and follow the puck for a guy who's only been to a handful of hockey games in his career. So maybe Churchville-Chili is the next stop we send you out there.
Amen.
What was that?
I said amen to that one.
Exactly. Churchville-Chili might be our favorite team this year. It's like the Sabres this year. A lot of goals for, a lot of goals against. Churchville-Chili doing a much better job of getting more goals than their opponent than the Sabres so far this year. So we have a big slate of games coming up this next week. We have our first big Friday slate of boys and girls basketball game. For those wondering, Round Ball Roundup's going to start up in 2022. Yep, that's the year that we're coming into. Always got to check that one. So that'll be coming up in January after we get past the holiday season. So this week we do have some great games on tap. Carl, who do you got your eyes on this week?
So I got my eyes on that Brockport and Sutherland game. All right. My first girls basketball game of the year was Sutherland versus Aranacoit, and Sutherland took care of business in their opening game. I think winning by 11. They controlled it from start to finish. So I know Sutherland's going to be a solid team from here on out. And then Brockport, I got to talk about this game really fast. So I had a heavy slate on Saturday. I think we went to 5 games. And one of the first ones I went to was Brockport versus Brighton. And in the first quarter, Brighton kind of controlled the pace of the game, and at halftime they were up 12, and that's the time that I had to leave. But at that point, though, Brockport had a girl who, Ella Fidel, she finished with 30, but while I was there, she might have had 8. Like she was getting them up. She was clearly their best player. I mean, obviously they were feeding her the rock, but they just weren't falling in that first half. And then I get back to the station, and we're putting the highlights together, and I come to find out Brockport, not only they won the game, and Ella Fidel finished with a 30 ball. So it's just like, I can't wait to see if she can continue that magic against a Sutherland team that only gave up 39 to Aranacoit. Man, that's going to be a fun one to watch. I can't wait to see if Ella Fidel can pull out another 30 piece again.
Yeah, and that Brighton team that they beat, they're going to be a strong team this year. They were pretty good last year. They're going to be one of the teams trying to knock off Mendon in Class A this year. I don't know if Carl hasn't. I don't know if you've heard about the Mendon juggernaut, but we'll see if anybody can keep up with them this year. But yeah, Brockport certainly a great. And it was 2 late free throws to win that game, wasn't it? There, Carl.
Yeah, it was. So
Fidel.
She clutched. She get the 30 piece. I mean, come on. Box office, right? I gotta tune in. I gotta hear about that one.
Definitely. I'm gonna be taking a look at a game next Tuesday on the hockey slate, which might be, it's a little bit early to say this, but certainly not out of the realm of possibility that this is a sectional championship game preview. It's Victor and Penfield. Penfield so far 3-0 this season. Victor at 2-0. Like I mentioned before, Penfield moving up from Class B to Class A this year. Victor, anybody who knows Section 5 hockey knows they've been really strong. 2 years ago, they made it to the state Final Four before COVID decided to put a nix on that. Last year, they lost in an overtime sectional championship game to Pittsford. So you can't say enough about Victor. And then Penfield is looking good so far this season. So you want to talk about early statement wins. Whoever gets that victory on Tuesday is going to feel really good about themselves early in this Section 5 hockey season.
Yeah, 100%. I've seen both teams thus far, and both teams have impressed me. I saw opening night, I saw Penfield take down Portside. Sam Schmock did his thing, scoring 2 goals in that one, and then Victor taking care of business against Hilton the other night. Be a good one. I mean, if that's going to be the sectional preview, I need to lock into that one because I'm learning the landscape I picked up on fall. So I know who's good in those fall sports. Now I'm learning the winter sports, so I need to lock in and figure out which teams are legit.
Yeah, and Penfield this weekend they're going out to the Potsdam area, playing against Potsdam and Canton, getting some out of Section 5 games this year. That's the other thing we're getting this year that we certainly didn't get last year is the the games against the teams from Syracuse, from Buffalo, from the Capital Region, Central New York, the Adirondacks, things like that. So it's nice to get some tests against some of these powerhouse teams before you get into your big sectional play. Certainly a team like Penfield getting 2 strong games against a Victor team is going to be helpful for them. Victor also has 2 games coming up. They've got McQuaid and Churchville-Chili. I could have easily picked that as my game to watch this week. That'll be a good test for Churchville-Chili to see how they do against one of the top teams in Section 5. So these are going to be a lot of good games coming up for us this week and this entire season. We got winter sports, basketball, hockey. We certainly won't be neglecting. We got our wrestlings, we got our, we get some swimming stories, things like that. So it's a fun time. It's a fun time being inside as well. No more rain gear, no more weather, just cold hockey games.
Yeah, but we're learning, and we're gonna figure out that I might not need the hand warmers for the hockey, so that's always a plus, So.
Always a plus. The less money we spend on hand warmers, the better. We do enough of that in the fall. So we will be back next week on the High School Huddle, breaking everything down, taking a look at these games to watch. Thank you for joining us. Once again, you can find us on rochesterfirst.com. We are also on Spotify, so you can subscribe there, follow there. Send us some love. Let us know what games you guys are out to. We'll see if we can, interact with the people, as they say. I'm AJ Feldman. He's Carl Jones. Thank you very much for joining us in the High School Huddle. It is time to break the huddle. We will see you next week.